As part of this month's Miracle or Two Monthly Marquee, we're celebrating the festive chaos of Wreck the Halls by Paul Cozby and Laura Bergquist. This hilarious musical comedy dives into the ups and downs of the holiday season, from Christmas letters and family photos to unassembled gifts and Christmas Eve stress. We spoke with the creators, Paul and Laura, to learn more about the inspiration and heart behind this holiday hit. Here's Paul Cozby and Laura Bergquist. Welcome.
Hi, I'm Laura Bergquist. I am the composer and arranger and orchestrator and all music things on Wreck the Halls. I live in New York City in Hell's Kitchen. I'm a Broadway music director, conductor, and all the things that go along with that. Vocal coach and composer and arranger and coffee maker for actors and all of those great things.
And Paul, tell us a little bit about you and your
Well,
relationship to Wreck the Halls.
I always like to say I'm a Texan by birth and New Yorker by choice. Proud of both. Lately, I've also been a Michigander by grandbaby, which they always say you get your first grandchild and your second home, and that's where I am, splitting time between the two. But I have known Laura almost since the day I got to New York over 18 years ago. It was one of the first people that I met, and we had a chance to collaborate on this show. We came up with the idea kind of simultaneously at a party. It's a funny story, but I write the lyrics and the book, and then working with Laura, she's the one who's helped us get it produced, really through many connections she's had over decades. And so I love lyric writing, and I love Laura's music and what she does with it.
Well, that gets me to our first real question, I think, which is like, where did this idea come from, and what's the genesis of Wreck the Halls?
Well, why don't I start, Paul, and then you can clarify the details. We were at a dinner party with several friends several years ago, right around the holidays. And one of the people around the dinner table said, I just got one of those Christmas letters that we all hate to get. And Paul and I think simultaneously went, that's it. That's a great idea.
It literally was like that. It was one of those, like out of a New York movie. We had a friend with an apartment high above Times Square, and everybody was wearing their festive wear, and we were having wine and hors d'oeuvres, and then somebody makes this talk, and we looked at each other and just went, that is a musical. And it started right there.
And it is a musical. I think I saw one of the first performances in New York.
You did.
And it was great and funny and truthful and with unexpected ideas that you wove together. And the music is fantastic, and the lyric writing is quite extraordinary. Mm-hmm. So, and it's just great fun. So, I feel lucky to have been in those early audiences, and boy, did they love it. So let's talk about, what message you feel, or whatever. What is the takeaway for an audience with this show, do you think?
We came up with this well into the process. We came up with a tagline that I think kind of summarizes it's that everything you hate about Christmas and why we love it anyway. And it's because this season and what it celebrates should be great and joyful and fun, but it really is full of tension and anger. My kids have said they feel like they deserve royalties because, it's a number of vignettes. We call it a string of pearls. It's a number of vignettes that stand independently, but tell a whole story from Black Friday through Boxing Day. And four actors portray all the characters, and one may be a mother in one and a child in the next, but it takes you through many of the emotional beats of in and around Christmas, because it is stressful, and many times it's sad, and many times it brings up bad memories or sad memories. But ultimately, I think once we get there, that feeling that you get on Christmas Eve, the anticipation of what's coming, and that it's supposed to be a time of special celebration, we want people to come away laughing at themselves and that whole idea that it's so stressful. We stress ourselves out over it, but at the end, we typically are saying, can't wait till next year.
Yeah,
For sure.
I think that sums it up beautifully. I mean, that's certainly what I took away when I saw it. Laura, do you have anything to add?
Sure. What I have loved is the audiences going, yes, yes, yes. I've had that experience. And again, from trying to get that perfect family photo in September to put on the Christmas card, I put my children through that, just as my parents put me through that. The vignette about assembling toys. How many times have all of us stayed up to the wee hours with missing parts? Being at Christmas without a spouse or a loved one for the first time is always tricky. Trying to sell the family home, getting in line and wondering which way the line is on Black Friday. And I think it's fun too that in our first productions, as we brought our cast into this, they recalled their memories and things that happened in their lives that we were able to integrate. I think one of my favorites, though, is Paul trying to give his wife a cheese slicer for Christmas. Similarly, the way my husband
True.
tried to give me popcorn baskets for Christmas one year. So we think we found something for everyone, and it's been really, really fun to hear them say yes, 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 and this is something else that happened.
Wonderful. Um, so it's a cast of how many? Paul?
There's four adults, two male, two female.
And how many characters do they play? Laura?
46.
Of
Because,
course.
and part of this came, the part of the idea came from a show that you and I, Ray, worked on years ago. I
Sure.
Love You, You're Perfect, Now Change.
Yeah.
And we specifically set out to write that kind of format, knowing that cast sizes were changing, orchestra sizes are changing, what are regional theaters able to do. And we just said it can be I Love You, You're Perfect, the Christmas edition, kind of like the Marvelous Wonderettes have done all their different versions. But I think had you and I not had such a great time with a great cast exploring that show all those years ago in Wichita, Kansas, where they
Yeah,
also
exactly.
began at the same theater, I'm not sure we would have come up with this concept.
Well, it's a model that it's proven to work, and it, like you said, it is serious. It's almost vaudeville a modern vaudeville in a way, right? These sketches that boom, boom, boom come right at you, and how can these four actors do all that? But they do. So it's a bit of a magic trick always, which is that's why we go to the live theater, is to be taken to these other places, and especially in the fun ride you give us, through these things that we kind of all know about this craziness of the holiday season. So this is a very flexible show, it seems. Scenically and visually, what needs to happen to make this work? Paul?
Well, we've seen it done a couple of different ways, and both have worked in a full production in a nice size auditorium. We've seen it with a full set. The Christmas tree, the family living room, the baby Jesus on the front yard. We've seen it all.
All the trimmings, as they say.
All the yes, all the trimmings, and but we've also done it. We've done it in concert version when it's really been just some Christmas trimmings, and it's been very. Both Laura and I were really, I think, taken aback by how well the audience uh, connected with the show in a concert version. So it's been done both ways. I think most particularly when it's done in a nice auditorium, a full set looks beautiful and it takes your breath away when you walk in and immediately puts you in that place where we want you. But it can also work it can work with the Christmas tree as your only set piece if you wanted to.
Wow, that's incredible. I believe that because I did see it, and it worked with what you did, and you had some projections and things that when I saw it all lined up beautifully.
One thing I wanted to add on to what Paul said is our first concert production that we did here in New York had 4 Broadway actors in it. So that didn't hurt anything. And I would like to say that these singers love singing these songs and these words. They just have a great time doing it. And then in our full one of the full productions was a mix of professional and community actors, and it worked just as beautifully.
And regarding the music, I mean, how big is the band, or what's behind all these amazing actors?
So musically, we scored it for piano, and I would say like moderately to medium difficulty. I don't write anything harder than I can play. So it does not go crazy. It's not Gershwin or Gettle or JRB. But we've scored it for, you can do it with just piano. Then we have parts for bass and drums to add to it too. And we've also recorded tracks if you prefer to go that way. But we've got just a really great range of styles. I write music when I get the lyric, not one that writes the music first. So the different styles of music are exactly what Paul's great lyrics called for. So there might be a tango here, there might be a great pop ballad there, or just a whole mix of things. And literally, Paul brings the lyric, and I go, and there it is, and then he weighs in on everything, and we have a great time writing it together. But it's definitely accessible. There's parts that some of the choral parts are in 4 parts, but they're easy. I used to teach choral arranging, so I'm very aware of voice leading. There's solos, there's duets, there's trios. There's a place for every person to shine in the singing. And then also to do backup, there's places if you have a great R&B singer that they can riff their brains out, and girls can wail. And then there's really fun patter songs too. So hopefully something for everybody, and in keys that everybody can sing in.
There you
and
go.
It's very, very varied. That's one of the, I mean, I think everyone gets a surprise treat with every new vignette, because none of them repeat. It's until we reprise something at the end, but it's wonderful music.
It's a musical meal. It's like a multi-course Christmas dinner. I mean, it's just great. So, and in terms of the cast, you said it's a cast of 4.
Well, we wrote it with the idea that it would be 4 people. However, we also wrote it with the same idea that if let's say a theater was really interested in getting more actors on stage, that they had a lot of people in their community who wanted to perform and they can perform, you could do 4 different scenarios with each vignette, so that you could have 40 actors if you really wanted to, and you could turn the ending, our final, one of our final songs could certainly be one where the cast of thousands gets up on the stage, and you can make it a community event. But it was designed to be both. 4 people can bring it off great. We've seen it, and people just accept the fact that, oh, you were the mom last time and you're a 6-year-old this time, and that's the magic of actors too. I mean, they just can do it. But if you want to get more people in it, the more the merrier.
Well, that's great. And you've got a run happening as we speak at Winter Park Playhouse near Orlando, Winter Park, Florida.
Right.
Very near Orlando. I know that area very well. That's a great theater, and I'm sure they're going to do it or doing an amazing job.
Well,
so what do you know about?
Excited. They're excited about it. I've been in touch with their music director, and he said the cast is having a great time, and they're really excited for their audiences that are enjoying it as well. So that's what we like to hear.
It's a good long run.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it's a great theater, and it'll be a great place for this show. I'm excited to hear all about it, and maybe I'm going to head down to Florida. Maybe I'll get a chance to see it. I'm hoping to. Okay. You've seen the show a lot. You've done it a good bit already. What's any reaction you've gotten from an audience that surprised you or delighted you in real, when they see it?
I remember very particularly after our first full production, a couple of people, and this was in Wichita, a couple of people coming up and saying, like, were you guys in my living room? Were you? And I also, one other thing to say, and Laura had mentioned it earlier, in our first production, we asked the cast if they would share a story about their Christmas traditions from when they were growing up. And they are, with their permission, are in the show. And what it lets me know is that the specifics we're talking about are universal. We see this time and time again, is that these little stories that just hone in on a moment resonate with people because they say, I've been there, I felt that. And that's, to me, I guess that's one of the most gratifying things about the show.
And I remember clearly, and I think it's happened in all the productions, people talking about in the more poignant moments, whether it's coming back to the family home after a death, or issues in talking and communicating with each other, that it let them see a scenario for how to react appropriately, and how to hear things in love, and how to have disagreements. And sometimes we just don't know how to respond because everything's coming at us. But with the scenes and the lyrics and the music, it gave voice to things that people were feeling inside. And besides the laughter, I have been more stunned than anything about the tears that people have come up to us with, and thanked us for reaching down and letting them see themselves and their families, and have a way to respond and react to that. It's been surprising, actually, when we set out to write a little comedy.
Yeah, but the tears come because they laugh.
Yeah.
They open up with the laughter, and then they're open to receive those more challenging things.
Right.
And and it ends up being, this little show becomes life affirming.
Yeah.
And I do adore it.
Yeah. Thank you.
And yeah, so anyway, Laura and Paul, thank you so much for doing this interview. You guys have done such a beautiful job putting the show together. I know you adore collaborating with one another. It's really what it's about, isn't it?
It is.
And I think that reflects itself in the show, your sort of joy for what you do. And I'm sure this cast doing it right now at Winter Park Playhouse is having a blast. And that's because of you guys. So thank you so much for creating this show and letting Miracle or Two be a part of it.
Thank you.
Thanks. You guys have been delightful to work with. And it reminds me again about how small the business is, whether you're performing or writing or publishing, and that, friendships and collaboration that go on for years and years is what it's all about. And we couldn't be happier to be with you and Jim, and appreciate all you've done to help move the show along.
The other thing is that I think the theater has more and more value than it ever did coming out. I mean, I know we're doing this on Zoom, and maybe that I'm sort of making my point that way, but It feels like being in real time with people, experience this in total three dimension is going to become more and more powerful and important in people's lives. Yeah. So I think you guys just keep creating and doing this amazing thing you do, because I think we're going to need more and more of what you do.
Yeah. That's my shared experiences. Yep.
Yeah. Thank you, Paul and Laura, for sharing the story behind Wreck the Halls. If you're interested in bringing this holiday comedy to your theater, visit miracleor2.com. Stay tuned for more spotlights in our Miracle or Two monthly marquee series. See you then.